Today I'm going to discuss about the structure of DNA, RNA, and their functions. So it comes under Unit 3. DNA means deoxyribose nucleic acid. The DNA molecule is a polymer, and here it is usually having double standard. And here this DNA, which is found in chromosomes, mitochondria, and chloroplast. So generally, most of the times in eukaryotic cells, the DNA is present in nucleus, and animals, plants, fungi. Sometimes it is also present in mitochondria and nucleus. And for some plants and for algae, and so this DNA is also present in nucleus, mitochondria, and chloroplast also. Chloroplast DNA will be present in for especially few algae like primitive red algae. So it is having chloroplast DNA. And here this DNA, which is mainly useful for carrying genetic material and the genetic information, so which is useful for the metabolism of different processes, for the formation of different enzymes and proteins. So we need the genetic information, so that will be carried by DNA, so which is present in nucleus. And this DNA is not released into the outside the nucleus, so it will be done by mRNA. So it will not be going directly itself. And this is the DNA structure. So this DNA structure is having three important elements, three important components. So first one is deoxyribose, which is a pentose sugar, and second one is base, so nitrogenous base, and third one is phosphate. So this is the phosphate molecule, and this is 5-carbon pentose sugar, that is deoxyribose sugar, and this is nitrogenous base. So this nitrogenous base will be two types, so purine nitrogenous base and pyrimidine nitrogenous base. So collectively, these three components are called to be a nucleotide, and this nitrogenous base along with this ribose sugar, so which is called to be nucleoside. And this DNA structure will be divided into four different levels, that is four different types: the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. So this is the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary protein structure. So in the primary structure, so here DNA will be linear. In the secondary structure, here we are having alpha helix or beta sheets will be present. That means here the nucleotides will be interacted and forming a helix structure. And in tertiary proteins, here the interaction will be more. So alpha and beta interactions will be there. But in secondary structure, only alpha interaction will be there, either alpha or beta. But in tertiary, so it is alpha as well as beta will be there. In quaternary structure, so here it is having intensified, so more number of alpha and beta interactions will be present in this quaternary structure. So DNA is having these four structures: primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structures. And if you compare the nucleotide difference between DNA and RNA, so this is the DNA nucleotide, so which is having only hydrogen group, which is present at second position of ribose sugar. So that means deoxy. That means here hydroxy group is absent at second position. That's why this is called deoxyribose. But whereas in case of RNA, here hydroxy group is present at second position. So this is the main difference between DNA and RNA. And one more difference also is present, that is, if you see the nitrogenous base, so these are four types: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. In RNA, here also we are having four important bases, nitrogenous bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. So that means at the place of thymine, so uracil is present in RNA nucleotide. So this is the second important difference. So first one is hydroxy group, which is present, which is absent in the DNA molecule at second position of ribose sugar. And second important difference is uracil is present in the place of thymine in RNA nucleotide. And here about nucleoside and nucleotide. So nucleoside is having only two components, that is base and sugar, nitrogenous base and sugar. For example, adenine is a nitrogen base, and which is combining with ribose sugar and forming adenosine. If adenine, which is a nitrogenous base, which is combining with a deoxyribose, here deoxy. So deoxy means it doesn't have any hydroxy group at the second position of the ribose sugar. So that is deoxyribose. Adenine is combined with the deoxyribose and forming deoxyadenosine. And next one is nucleotide. So nucleotide is containing three components, as we have already discussed: the base, sugar, and phosphate molecules. And examples: deoxyadenosine monophosphate. So that means deoxyadenosine here, so which is attached with a phosphate molecule and forming DAMP. DAMP means deoxyadenosine monophosphate. So here only one phosphate ion is available. And second one is DADP, that is deoxy diphosphate ion. So that is here two phosphate ions are present. Here this is three phosphate ion present in DADP. So here DNA is having double helix structure, but RNA is having only single helix structure. It doesn't have any double helix, but here the DNA is having double helix structure. So this is the double helix structure. This is one helical structure and one helical structure. Here these two are complementary to each other. That means here G is a guanine, a guanine nucleotide, which is attached with cytosine, and here thymine, which is attached with adenine. So these are complementary base pairs. That means G is complementary to cytosine, and thymine is complementary to adenine. So here one more important point is there, that G and C, which are attached with hydrogen bonds. Here we are having three hydrogen bonds in between G and C. In between T and A, that is thymine and adenine. So here it is having two hydrogen bonds. And one more important point is here this sugar molecule, ribose sugar, is attached with a base by a glycosidic bond. This is a bond, a glycosidic bond. And this ribose sugar, which is attached with the phosphate molecules by phosphate ester bond. So this is a phosphate ester bond, and this is glycosidic bond, and these are hydrogen bonds. So in the DNA structure, so we are having three important bonds. So hydrogen bond, glycosidic bond, and phosphate ester. And here one more important point is there, that these two helical structures are complementary to each other. So that means here 5' to 3' end will be present at one end, and opposite end 3' to 5' is present. So that means here a phosphate molecule, so which is attached to the ribose sugar at fifth position of the carbon. So fifth carbon. So that is called 5'. This is a 5'. And here the sugar will be a phosphate molecule will be attached with the sugar molecule at third position, that is 3'. So this is about the DNA double helix structure, so which is proposed by Watson and Crick. And here these are the types of the DNA. So that is ddNA, aDNA, and zDNA. First one is ddNA, so which is biologically the most common DNA. So here we are having three important DNAs, but mostly we can see this ddNA, and which is having alpha helix. It's having alpha helix, that is secondary structure. So it is a right-handedly moved, and it is curled in a right-handed direction, clockwise, spiral. And this all DNAs are having four important base pairs, that is A, E. So adenine is paired with C, thymine, and guanine is paired with C, cytosine. But in the RNA, in the place of thymine, uracil is present. Next, so this is here in this ddNA. So here it is having 360 rotation of helix. So that means here it is having 10 base pairs. So AT is one base pair and GC is another base pair. These are two base pairs. In the same way, here 10 base pairs are present in ddNA. So each base pair is producing an angle with another base pair, that is around 36 degrees. So 10 base pairs are producing total 360 rotation of helix. That means here in 360 rotation, 10 base pairs are present. And the difference, the length between AT and GC, so will be 0.34. But here in ddNA, 10 base pairs are present. So that's why the length of total ddNA will be 0.34 into 10, that is 3.4 nanometers. Here are two important things. So first one is 360 degrees rotation of ddNA is present, and 3.4 nanometers of length of ddNA. And here axis passes through middle of each base pairs. That means here a central axis is there. Around this axis, all base pairs are attached. The axis is going through the middle of the helix structure. So this is a bDNA. Here we are having axis. So around this axis, all base pairs will be around, which are present around. And here this bDNA, so which is generally present in the cell, so where the water molecule is present. That means here this bDNA, which is surrounded by water molecules. So most of the times 98% of water will be present. So that's why most of the times we are having bDNA molecules in the cell. And here we are having two important groups. So this DNA helical structure is producing two types of groups, that is major groups and minor groups. So this is the minor groups, and this is the major group. The minor groove is narrow comparing with the major groove. Minor groove is narrow and shallow, and the major groove is wide and deep. And here it is present present in the cell, so where the water molecule is present, and it is very stable comparing with the other DNA molecules. So this bDNA is very stable molecule. And the next one is aDNA. Second one is aDNA. This is also a right-handed helix like bDNA. But comparing with the bDNA, here it is wider, flatter than bDNA. So wider and flatter. So it is here the nucleotide base pairs will be aligned out of the axis of middle axis. That means it is not close to the middle axis. It is very little far than to the middle axis. So here in aDNA, which is having 11 base pairs, but in bDNA, which is having only 10 base pairs. So here also we are having two grooves, narrow groove and broad groove. And so here narrow groove is having deep, so narrow and deep. Sorry, major groove is having narrow and deep. And here, so minor, broad and shallow groove is a minor. And here, so important point is here, dehydrating condition. It is DNA is available in a dehydrating condition. It is not generally available in normal conditions like hydrated conditions. Only bDNA is available in hydrated condition, but here aDNA is available in dehydrating conditions. So that's why it is very rarely we can see in the cell. So here we can see in two conditions, that is active site of DNA polymerase. So in the active site of DNA polymerase, we can see this aDNA, and also we can see in the process of sporulation of gram-positive bacteria. It is generally occurred in the time of dehydrated condition. So at this condition also we can see aDNA. And third one is zDNA. So zDNA, so which is also called the zigzag DNA. So here the nucleotide base pairs will be aligned in a little zigzag manner. Here also we are having 12 base pairs. Here also we are having two groups. So major groups and minor groups. This is also very rare DNA, so which is not usual DNA. It is a rare DNA, so which is useful for regulating gene transcription. So what is gene transcription means here? The DNA, so which is having genetic information, so the information will be transcribed, that means copied by mRNA, and it is sending to the ribosomes, and the information will be useful for formation of proteins. So transcription is copying of genetic information from the main DNA. So that's called transcription. Here, this zDNA will be useful in the gene transcription process. So these are the difference between bDNA, aDNA, and zDNA. So important differences like here it is having 10 base pairs, 11 and 12. B is having 10 A's, 11, and Z is 12. And so these are the diameters. 2 nanometer diameter is present for bDNA. aDNA is little wider, so 2.3 nanometers, and zDNA is 1.8 nanometers. Next one is RNA structure. So RNA is having only single helix structure, which doesn't have two helix structure. And RNA is also having three important components: phosphate group, sugar, and nitrogenous base. So a bond is present between phosphate molecule and sugar is called phosphate ester bond. A bond which is present between sugar and nitrogenous base is glycosidic bond. So here also it is also having purine and pyrimidine. So purine here adenine guanine comes under purine, but in pyrimidine here uracil is present in the place of thymine. So we have already discussed that cytosine and uracil is present in the RNA structure. Next one is type of RNA. Here we are having three important types. So messenger RNA, mRNA, transfer RNA, and ribosomal RNA. These are the main important RNAs. In addition to that, so we're also having four other RNAs, that's small nuclear RNA, micro RNA, small interfering RNA, and heterogeneous nuclear RNA. And the first one is messenger RNA. Here, the name itself indicating that it is messenger, so which is taking the information in the gene, and that information will be taken up and it is sending to a ribosome. Here, a protein molecule will be synthesized at the ribosome area. For protein molecules synthesizing the at ribosome area, so it requires information. So that information will be given by mRNA. So that mRNA will be taking the information from the DNA which is present in cell nucleus. So this process is called transcription. That means here information will be transcribed, it is copied in the form of mRNA, and here mRNA will be reaching to the cytoplasm, especially at the ribosome area, and here it will be useful, this information will be useful for formation of protein. So this is the structure of mRNA. So mRNA is having two important parts. So this is a coding sequence, the coding part, and which is present in the middle of the regions. So this is a green area which is representing a coding part. And adjacent to this area, this pink area and this yellow area, so which is representing non-coding part. So this is the main important part. Here, this is the transcripted area. Here, genetic information is available. So this area will be useful for the formation of the enzymes and proteins. And this area will be reaching to the ribosomal area, and there, this area will be useful for the transcription. But here, so this mRNA, so it is also having a cap. So this red part is having a cap at 5' area. It's a cap position. So why? Because mRNA need to transfer from nucleus to ribosome. So it requires more time to reach that place. So it requires a cap, and also it also has a tail. So tail is called poly A tail, so which is present at 3' region. So if you see here, so this is the coding sequence. So this is the coding area, and here this is the leader. This is the leader, and this is the trailer. And these leader and trailers are non-coding sequence, so which are not useful for the transcription process. Only coding sequence will be useful for transcription process for the synthesis of peptides and proteins. And this 5' is having a cap. So this is the complete structure of mRNA. And next one is heterogeneous nuclear RNA. So hnRNA. So which is also called to be precursor RNA or premature mRNA. So why? Because before formation of RNA, here this heterogeneous nuclear RNA will be formed. So which is having much longer length than matured RNA. It is having more length, but it is premature. So that's why. So this premature heterogeneous nuclear RNA is next. It is converted into a matured RNA, matured mRNA. That it means this is the initial part of the mRNA. So starting during the time of transcription, first HNRNA will be produced. So from that, so finally mRNA will be produced. So here also it is also produced in the nuclear region, but 75% of HNRNA will be degraded. Only 25 will be processed into mature RNA. So 75 will be degraded. And one more important point difference between this mRNA and HNRNA. So HNRNA doesn't have any capping and tailing, splicing. So these processes will not be present in HNRNA, but in mature RNA, so it is also present. As we have seen already that, so here it is having capping and tailing, and slicing also present. So we can see it in the next latest slides. So this is about HNRNA, so which is a precursor or premature mRNA. Next one is transfer RNA. The name itself indicating that transferring of RNA. So here RNA will be transferred. So here this is transfer of amino acids from cytoplasm to the protein synthesis area. So this transfer RNA comparing with the other RNAs, here it is having only 74 to 95 nucleotides. This is the smallest RNA. So this is the structure of tRNA, so which is having different arms. So 4 arms, it has 4 arms, 5 arms, sorry. So one arm is called acceptor arm. This is called acceptor arm. Here amino acids will be accepted here. And second arm is called anticodon arm. This is called anticodon arm. So that means here amino acids will be accepted. For example, UAA is accepted here, and it is taking here a complementary of UAA will be processed here. That is anticodon. So that means opposite to the acceptor area. So here this is called anticodon arm. So here this anticodon arm is the main arm, so which is useful for the formation of protein synthesis. And the next arm is called D arm. This is the D arm, left hand side, and the right hand side arm is called T arm. So which is having thymidine, pseudoiodine, cytosine. And this is extra arm. This is extra arm. This is also called to be variable arm. And here this tRNA is also a helical structure. This is a secondary structure. That means there is an interaction between nitrogen base will be occurred here. Interaction will be present. So this is a secondary structure. But it is also having a primary structure. So primary structure means a linear molecule of tRNA. That means here it is having a helical structure, so which is a secondary structure. But sometimes the initial position. So here it is a linear position. It doesn't have any helix. It doesn't have any interactions between nitrogenous base. So that is called primary structure. See here. So this is the D arm. This is the T arm. This is acceptor arm. This is anticodon arm, and this is the variable or extra arm. And the next one is tertiary structure of tRNA. So tRNA is also having primary. So we have seen here primary structure and secondary structure. So secondary structure is having more interactions between nitrogenous bases. But here in tertiary structure, so it is also having more interactions. But importantly, the hydrogen bonds are wide. Hydrogen bonds are more folded at this region, at the middle of the region between D arm and T arm. So that means it is a secondary structure. Now it is converting into tertiary structure. So that means acceptor arm and T arms will be combined, and D arm anticodon arm will be combined. And here it is forming two double helical columns. Actually, it is a helical structure. Now it is forming a two helical structures. So one helical structure is formed with D arm and acceptor arm, and another helical structure is also forming with D arm and antipode arm. So finally, here it is forming a L-shaped or perpendicular shape ERNA will be produced. So this is called tertiary structure of ERNA. And next one is ribosomal RNA. So ribosomal RNA, so which is present in the ribosomal area, so which is useful for the protein synthesis. And this is the main RNA for the protein synthesis process. See, this is the peptide synthesis. Here proteins will be formed here, peptide chains will be formed here, and finally the formed proteins. For formation of these proteins or enzymes, so we need mRNA. This is the mRNA. Here the mRNA is present here, and this mRNA, so which is obtained from the nucleus to ribosomal area. So this is the ribosomal area. So here mRNA is present, and this information will be useful for formation of, for synthesizing the peptide chains, and these peptide chains are finally forming a proteins. So this is a ribosomal synthesis, ribosomal area, and here this is the tRNA. So transfer RNA. Here transfer RNA will be transferred from the cytoplasm to here at this ribosomal area, and here this transfer RNA so will be useful as adapter. So here it is having four arms. We have already discussed it. It is having four arms. At this acceptor arm, here this amino acid will be present, and this amino acid is having anticodon of AAG. So this is the anticodon region, and this anticodon region, so which is attached with this mRNA here at this position. This is a coding place. So finally, so when it is attached, G is attached with C, so U is attached with A is attached with U. So when it is attached like this, here it is forming an amino acid which is forming a linkage, a peptide chain with another amino acid, and finally forming a long chain peptide chain. And it is converting into a protein. So that means this ribosomal RNA will be useful for protein synthesis, and here peptide bonds also will be produced. And sometimes this ribosomal area or ribosomal RNA, so which is having these peptide chains, so along with the ribosome, so this is called ribozyme. So that means the ribozyme, so which is having a ribosomal part along with peptide chain. For example, peptide transferase. So here peptide transferase, which is an enzyme, which is a ribozyme, so which is having peptide bonds as well as ribozyme. So here recent studies suggest that so rRNA, that is ribosomal RNA component, performs the peptide transferase activity, and thus it's an enzyme. So that means ribosomal RNA so will be useful for formation of protein synthesis as well as for the formation of a ribozymes. Here this ribosomal RNA which is having two sites. So one is a large subunit and SSU, that is small subunit. So this is the large place of the ribosome. This is a large subunit, and this is a small place. This is called small subunit. SSU. This is a large unit. So the ribosome is having large part and small part. And we are also having small RNA molecules, that is snRNA, small nuclear RNA, which is useful for mRNA splicing. So mRNA splicing means here in the splicing process, which joins the coding the sequences called exons.